Sean Diddy Combs.
Attacking his former girlfriend. We want to warn you, this video is disturbing.
Hotel surveillance footage leaked by CNN added more substance to Cassie Ventura's lawsuit claim of assault, forcing Diddy to make a statement about what was seen. Within the lawsuit filed by Ventura, she alleged that in one altercation, she was violently beaten by Combs whilst trying to escape his presence in a Los Angeles hotel. The incident reportedly took place in March 2016 while staying at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City. At this time, Combs had allegedly organized a freak-off, an event where he forced Ventura to have sex with others for Combs' pleasure. As this took place, Ventura alleged that Diddy got drunk and punched her in the face, giving her a black eye. After the incident, Ventura thought Combs was asleep and tried to leave the hotel without the rap mogul noticing. This wasn't the case, as Combs noticed her leaving and followed her into the nearby hallway. What transpired next was a violent incident captured by the hotel security cameras in the corridors near the room. Wearing nothing but a towel, the video shows Combs approaching Ventura and gesturing angrily towards her as she waits for the lift. Diddy is shown grabbing her and throwing her angrily to the ground as she waits. As she lies shaken on the ground, Combs is then shown kicking her twice in the stomach as she lays prone on the ground. As the took place, Ventura was shown wearing a hooded jumper trying to conceal her identity. After being kicked, Diddy then grabs her by the hood of the jacket and drags her back down the corridor to the room. Shortly afterwards, in the footage taken from a different angle, Ventura is then seen holding a phone before Combs enters the shot again. Combs then shoves her out of the way as she leaves the camera angle. At the end of the video, Combs is then seen picking up an object, identified in the lawsuit as a glass vase, and then throwing it in the direction of Ventura. The footage seemingly corroborated what Ventura claimed in her lawsuit about what happened that evening. She would go on to say that she was able to escape her LA apartment after the incident. However, she would later return to the hotel apartment that night, fearing that she would get stronger retaliation from Combs for staying away. The lawsuit also claims that Combs allegedly paid the hotel $50,000 to get the security footage and prevent it from getting out to the public. However, the footage was later leaked by CNN on May 16, 2024, with the story dominating headlines around the world. By this time, Combs was already battling several lawsuits from others, citing assault, and even had his homes raided by the FBI and his sons briefly arrested. So for the first time since the allegations came out, Combs directly addressed what had happened and acknowledged that the incident had taken place. The first time that he had not specifically or rigorously denied the allegations against him. On May 19, 2024, Diddy posted a video on his Instagram directly referencing the actions depicted within the security footage. In it, he apologized for what he did that night, and there was no excuse for it. It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was f***ed up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. Whilst Combs' apology confirmed that the incident shown had taken place, he still denied the other claims made against him and that he would continue to fight the other lawsuits made against him. Despite the apology, the reaction towards the incident was swift and brutal from the public, none more so than from Cassie herself, who made her statement following on from the video leak. In her statement, she stated that, "Domestic violence broke me down to someone I thought I'd never become. With a lot of hard work, I am better today, but I will always be recovering from my past. The outpouring love has created a place for my younger self to settle and feel safe now, but this is only the beginning. Domestic violence is the issue. It takes a lot of heart to tell the truth out of a situation you were powerless in." Following the video leak, there was also a strong reaction from the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, viciously condemning the actions seen in the video. However, they said that prosecutors wouldn't be able to press criminal charges against Combs for the assault, as the time between the incident taking place and it being revealed had passed the statute for limitations by state law. There was also a reaction from the Intercontinental Hotels Group relating to the incident, where they denied the claims that Diddy had paid to keep the video hidden. Whilst Intercontinental Hotels Group revealed that the hotel in LA was no longer on the operating banner, they stated that it played no part in the footage being leaked to the media. In a brief statement, the hotel said, "Intercontinental Hotels Group did not produce this footage, did not receive money for this footage, and did not have access to it." With Diddy admitting for the first time some of the desertions labored against him had taken place, it saw yet more examples laid out against him with yet another lawsuit filed against Combs several days after his shocked apology. On May 22, 2024, a former model called Crystal McKinney filed a lawsuit against Diddy over an alleged assault in New York in 2003. McKinney had been a model since 1998 after winning MTV's Model Mission show, which awarded her a contract with IMG. During her early career, this saw her work for famous clothing brands such as Tommy Hilfiger. In 2003, McKinney's work put her in touch with an unnamed designer who had begun working with Combs on his fashion line, Sean John Clothing. It was at this point that McKinney was set to work with Combs modeling for a new line of clothes. Whilst preparing for this role, McKinney alleges that she was forced to alter her appearance to please Combs. This included dyeing her hair to platinum blonde and wearing jewel-encrusted pants and V-cut tops. This was all part of an invite to accompany Combs to attend an event with Combs and the designer at an event during the 2003 New York Fashion Week. McKinney alleged that she arrived at the Cipriani downtown, the venue of the event, and was immediately taken to Combs and his entourage, where she was told to sit directly opposite him. She then said that he was making direct and public compliments to her, stating that she was beautiful and she was going to make it big someday. McKinney then claimed that Combs would leer at her from across the table and even gave her his phone number so he could help her move further up in the industry. Whilst they were doing this, Diddy allegedly kept giving McKinney alcoholic drinks in good faith for his intentions. After the event had ended, Diddy reportedly asked McKinney to attend a smaller get-together at a studio in New York, as he wanted to get to know her better. Upon arriving at the studio, McKinney arrived to find Combs and several of his associates drinking whiskey and smoking marijuana. Combs allegedly bigged up the strength of the weed and offered some to McKinney, who obliged as she had done it previously. McKinney felt that the marijuana she took was powerful, and the combination of that with the alcohol made her feel extremely lightheaded. Despite her seemingly objecting to more drinking and marijuana, she claimed that Combs forced her to take multiple rounds of both whiskey and marijuana, to the point that she felt out of control of her actions. From there, she claimed that Combs forcibly helped her to get from the main studio to a nearby bathroom. Along with Combs, she claimed that he started kissing her without permission and forcibly touching her physically. After the initial contact, she alleged that Diddy forced her head to his and made her perform on him. After the incident, Combs then reportedly returned to the main room, leaving McKinney in shock at what just happened. She claimed that after Combs took her back to the main studio area, she then lost consciousness. When she woke up, she was in a taxi returning to the designer's apartment where she was staying. It was only on the ride back that she returned to her senses and understood what happened. The lawsuit states that after the incident, McKinney found herself ostracized in the modeling industry, and much of her issues were directly at the behest of Combs. She alleges that the trauma of the event led her to her attempting in 2004, and it stoked both and alcohol addiction. She also felt that the incident caused her to have a mental breakdown in 2010, which directly ended her marriage at the time. The lawsuit, which saw McKinney seek $750,000 in damages, also stated that it was Ventura's claims that made her come forward about her issues with Combs. After filing the lawsuit, McKinney's legal representatives refused to comment about the matter, as did those representing Combs on the matter. The claims made by McKinney were not the only ones to emerge following Diddy's apology. More disturbing claims would be made in a lawsuit filed by former fashion student April Lamprose, who had multiple incidents with Combs in the 1990s. In her lawsuit, Lamprose accused Combs her on no less than 4 different occasions, as well as plying her with physically as well and negatively impacting her attempts to have a career in the fashion industry. She also included Sony Records, Arista Records, and Bad Boy Recordings within the lawsuit, as well as several unnamed employees within the record labels. Lamprose states that the two first crossed paths in 1994. At the time, she was a fashion design student in New York, and Combs had just celebrated the birth of his son, Justin Dior Combs. During their early meetings, Combs allegedly showered Lamprose with gifts and praise, including sending her flowers on Valentine's Day. She was also invited to a lavish Father's Day celebration hosted by Bad Boy Records, celebrating Combs being a father to Justin Dior. As the pair grew closer, Lamprose alleged that Combs would regularly contact her and host her at properties and parties across the US, including Atlanta and Miami. However, she alleged that the relationship with Combs grew more toxic and manipulative as time went on. It was in 1995 when the first involving Combs took place. Lamprose agreed to meet Combs and a female acquaintance in a bar in New York's Soho district. At the time, Lamprose claimed she didn't drink alcohol, but nevertheless agreed to meet with Combs that night. It's claimed that she only drank slightly from one drink before she left with Combs to go to the nearby Millennium Hotel. During the car ride and subsequently at the hotel, Lamprose claimed to feel uneasy and lightheaded before entering a hotel room with Combs. At this point, Combs helped Lamprose to lie down on the bed in the room. It was then that Combs reportedly forcibly climbed on top of her and kissed her against her wishes. Lamprose claimed she continued to feel faint and asked him to stop, but Combs allegedly ignored her and removed her clothing. As the ordeal unfolded, Lamprose claimed she was too weak to resist Combs, and he allegedly raped her in bed. When she woke up the following morning, she was still nude and in the same bed. After the first incident, Combs reportedly continued to push for a relationship with Lamprose. Despite objections, Lamprose agreed to a second meeting under the pretense that it would aid her in pursuing a career in the fashion industry. The meeting, which took place near Combs' Manhattan apartment, went without incident, and the two agreed to reassociate with one another. However, Lamprose claimed that this would be the site of a second. A few months later, the two had met for dinner near the Manhattan apartment and were entering a local parking garage. During the walk, Combs was allegedly drunk and once again became forceful with Lamprose in a secluded area of the parking lot. Combs allegedly grabbed Lamprose by the waist and forced her to her knees. At this point, he supposedly undid his pants and exposed his before forcing Lamprose to perform oral on him. Despite her attempts to refuse, Combs forced her to finish the act, even though she noticed a parking attendant catching them in the act. Lamprose then claimed that she did everything possible to avoid Combs, who kept trying to contact her. After rejecting his advances, she claims that Diddy became much more threatening, claiming that if he saw anyone in her apartment, he would beat your and theirs. Under this pretext, Lamprose claimed that the fear and control Combs exerted on her forced her to rekindle a distant relationship with Combs that was dictated by his terms of what was and wasn't acceptable. This reportedly continued into 1996, when there was a third incident that happened at the time. During this night, Lamprose had been told to meet Combs at his apartment. Alongside the rap mogul was Kim Porter, his longtime partner, and an unnamed woman. The four would go out to a nightclub before returning to the apartment where they continued drinking. As the night unfolded, Lamprose claimed that both she and Porter were told to open their mouths by Combs. When doing so, he shoved a pill into each of their mouths, a pill of ecstasy. Combs allegedly forced both women to swallow the pills and checked their mouths afterwards to ensure they had swallowed it. Lamprose claimed that the combination of alcohol and ecstasy made her feel particularly lightheaded. After taking the pill, she claimed that Combs demanded that Lamprose have sex with Porter, an action that she was strongly against. She said that Combs threatened to blacklist her from the fashion industry and get her fired if she refused. With this in mind, Lamprose allegedly relented and agreed to have sex with Porter. As the two girls got intimate with each other, Combs watched on, debating over their actions. However, at some point during her affair with Porter, Lamprose claimed that Combs pushed Porter away and then decided to get physical with Lamprose. Despite her objection, Combs reportedly left Lamprose once again, engaging in full intercourse. Several hours after the incident, Combs reportedly woke Lamprose and told her to leave the apartment immediately. Acts like this reportedly caused a strong dislike between Porter and Lamprose.
Is it cool for a person to date their ex's friends?
Hell no.
Okay,
Especially if they ball players.
In the lawsuit, it's claimed that Porter did not like Lamprose after Combs forced the two women to have intercourse with each other.
Oh, that's so dead wrong. Trifling, and more trifling.
Okay.
Even when Lamprose reportedly ended her relationship with Combs in 1998, Porter still went out of her way to cause problems for her. This included an incident at the Silver Bar where Lamprose waitressed at the time. She put in a claim that Lamprose tried to poison her, and that if the manager didn't fire her immediately, she would get Diddy to get the bar shut down for good. The threat saw that Porter allegedly got Lamprose fired just by the mere sight of her when dining out one evening. Over the next couple of years, Lamprose was able to distance herself from Combs and slowly progress within the fashion industry. However, the two would cross paths for a short time in the 21st century. During a fashion event at the Rockefeller in late 2000, the two crossed paths, with Combs being the first to engage in conversation with Lamprose. During the conversation, he showered Lamprose with compliments and wanted to reminisce about their actions during the mid-late 1990s. Lamprose rejected his multiple advances that night and left the event. A few days later, he would contact her again wanting to reconnect. Due to his persistence, Lamprose agrees to meet at her apartment a couple of mornings later. When Combs arrived at her apartment, he was with several members of his security detail who waited outside. The two allegedly sat on her couch, where Combs once again reminisced about their past relationship and how good he thought it was. However, Lamprose claimed she rejected his advances when he mentioned re-engaging physically with one another. Upon the rejection, Combs reportedly forced himself upon her, touching her private areas without any remorse. With nothing in her system, Lamprose claimed she was able to fight him off using the nearby door for leverage. She claimed that his security detail was not bothered by his actions toward her. Combs subsequently left Lamprose's apartment shortly after the scuffle. She felt justified by her actions, given that Combs' relationship with singer Jennifer Lopez ended shortly afterwards after claims of infidelity on his part. Whilst Lamprose was done with Combs directly after the incident in her apartment, it would not be the last time her association with him would come to surface. At an event in 2023, Lamprose was attending a soiree with a date when an unnamed man approached her date. During the conversation, the unnamed individual told her date to reconsider being with Lamprose. He did this claiming that he saw a tape of Lamprose having intercourse with Combs back in 1997. Lamprose was shocked by the news given that she had no idea of the film nor that Diddy had shown it to numerous individuals without her consent. Given the last revelation, it was this and the launch of numerous lawsuits against Diddy that seemingly got Lamprose to seek her own actions against the rap mogul. After filing her lawsuit, Lamprose gave a statement saying, "I'm confident that justice will prevail, and the veil will be removed, so no other woman will have to go through what I endured." Like other lawsuits, Diddy's legal representatives refused to comment on the allegations brought forward in the lawsuit.